Hello, everyone, and welcome to Flawless, a music podcast. My name is Liam, and I'm here with my co-host George
Hello, Team Music.
and Grant.
Hello there, music fans slash team music.
We remembered. Each episode of Flawless, a host or a guest nominates an album that they think is flawless, and we discuss how they discovered it, what they love about it, and what makes it flawless for them. We have a Facebook group. It's called Flawless Friends and Family. It's where we discuss all things music that we love and that you love, and we post in there about upcoming episodes and what albums we've nominated. You can find the link in our show notes. And of course, we have a Patreon. You can back us there from as little as $1 a month, and you get early access to our episodes, access to our bonus episodes, and that warm, fuzzy feeling inside that you're helping us spread the flawless love. You can find us at patreon.com/flawlessamp.
Ah, the flawless love.
Flawless
What
love.
a
Spread the
wonderful
flawless
delivery.
love. Speaking of bonus episodes, we recently, our most recent bonus episode that's up now, if people want our patrons, and if you want to be a patron, you can listen to it, was about one-hit wonders. And during the one-hit wonder episode, I positioned that I don't like the concept of a one-hit wonder, purely because usually it means that people are just thinking about what music charted and then went away and they never really had another chart hit. But often those bands went on to do some really great work that nobody knows about. And in my...
That's literally the nature of a one-hit wonder.
I know, but I don't like talking about it. So I don't like the idea of like it's a one-hit wonder, because there have been bands that I have grabbed that one hit and then I've followed them up with stuff that people didn't know about. And today we are going to talk about one such band who many years, 5 years, 7 years after their one-hit wonder, released an album that nobody knows about, didn't chart. We're not going to talk about chart positions or the impact on the music industry as a whole or anything like that. They released an album that I think is flawless. So today I'm nominating Nada Surf and their third album, Let Go.
In the blizzard of 77, the cars were just lumps on the snow. And then later, tripping in 7-Eleven, the shelves were stretching out of control. On a plane ride, the more it shakes, the more I have to let go.
Yeah, you did.
Yes, I
Thank
did.
you, Liam.
Even
did.
though this album is not as popular as previous albums.
Oh,
So-
behave.
So those of you, if you're wondering, how do I know Nada Surf? Back in 1995
Six?
or 6,
I think
96, their debut breakthrough single was called Popular. They were a bit of a grunge band, and they found
Yes.
an old advice book for women on how to date and how to dress and get boys' attention and stuff.
And it was like spoken/shouted verses,
Yes.
and then went into a real catchy chorus of popular.
Yeah.
Mm.
So the rest
with
of that
a great
album,
music video too.
yes,
by
very
the
cool
way.
video. So yeah, they did that. Disappeared, like High Low didn't to have a lot of impacts. Didn't really, most of it wasn't that similar to Popular. I've got High Low, but I don't remember how it goes. But it's didn't really sound a lot like that. But over time, and they're still together now, and they've released 9 albums now, including one back in 2020, and they've carved a bit of a niche for themselves as nice pop rock musicians. Like they're not grungy, high school kids. They're just nice guys who make nice pop rock music about love and about yearning and wanting to be in love and stuff. So over time they've evolved their style, and
Which is nice.
which you have to do. Let Go, and then the few albums after. So I have them all. I have everything from Let Go
Wow.
onwards.
Cool.
And Let
You
Go.
had Popular with an album with Popular on it?
No. I went back and got that eventually, but this album came out in 2003, 2002, 2003.
2002, yeah. I thought so.
Yeah. So it was 2002 in Europe and 2003 in the US,
Yeah.
but it's there and thereabouts.
Critically acclaimed.
Yeah, so got some good reviews because it's nice and it's it's pretty straightforward, nice pop rock, that sort of thing. I don't know if I got it right at the time. That would be around about the time where I was like, I had disposable income for the first time in my life, and I was starting to like,
What a good time.
if I could find it at Rocking Horse for like $10, I would have bought it and that sort of thing. But it did, I remember at the time seeing some reviews and that sort of thing saying they really liked it, and I was like, all right, I can check that out. And it was pre-Spotify, so I must have bought it. So I did buy it and then listened to it, and I was like, yeah, this is actually an amazing album of its own style, not similar to Popular, that sort of thing.
No.
And so my question is, there are 2 variants of this.
Yes.
So Australia got the European version?
Australia got the European version. So if you're listening to the album on Spotify, which you can do, that's fine. You will get one different song. I think one comes in and one goes out. I think Happy Kid goes out. And then,
That's a shame.
yes. Yeah.
That is a crying shame.
Yes. But the thing that really bugs me, so I've tried listening to it on Spotify and I can't do it. So I had to create a playlist of all the songs of my own, which is the one I shared with you guys.
Yep.
Is that it opens with Blizzard 77, but then it doesn't go into The Way You Wear Your Head. So when Blizzard 77 ends and something else comes in, I'm like, no, this is not happening. Like,
It's not right.
That whistle noise at the start of start of The Way You Wear Your Head is how I need to come out of Blizzard 77. And if it doesn't do that, then I can't. It just gives me the
not worthy.
heebie-jeebies. So
Fair enough.
You need to
Cast
avoid
it
the
aside.
heebie-jeebies at all costs.
So yeah, if
Please.
you're out there and you want to listen to it in the order, Wikipedia has the alternate track order, or you can find me on Spotify and find my playlist, and it's open for everyone to listen to it in the true
Such as
order that God intended.
Well, or any deity
The-
you choose to believe in.
Correct.
George,
Hello.
I know you'd heard of Nada Surf
I had.
because the moment I said Nada Surf, you started singing Popular in the group chat.
Correct.
Outside of Popular, had you heard of Nada Surf at all, done anything with them?
No, I'd have put them down as a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Because they came out with this grungy sound, and whatever else they brought out did not go in. It did not register with me
No.
on MTV.
No.
So,
didn't do any of that sort of stuff.
Popular did a lot for me. It was great, and then I didn't follow up with. I heard no other songs, and I didn't follow up by buying any more. So that was when I was like 11. And yeah, I didn't buy the album or anything like that. I just really enjoyed watching the music video. But because Matthew just came across as really cool in the video.
Yeah.
Like he had his glasses and then he takes them off when he gets angry. And it's just, I'm like, you take your glasses off, Matthew.
Take them off.
It's actually quite an interesting performance because he's not like that. He's not cool. He's like an indie hipster, like doesn't like the spotlight kind of stuff. More like he's not like the national level of shying away from it, but he's not a big popular sort of cool guy.
But I did find out that something very cool about him is he has another band called Minor Alps. And that's with Juliana Hatfield, who's someone I love and adore, who is in line with the Lemonheads, who you've previously covered on Flawless.
Yeah.
So at some point, I'll have to see if there's a Flawless Juliana Hatfield, and we can just have like a...
6 steps from Kevin Bacon / you.
I have
Matthew.
the Minor. I think Minor Alps have only put out one album. I don't think they're an ongoing thing. I think they were just like a one and done.
Fair enough.
But I'm pretty sure I have it because I was following his stuff intently.
Fair enough. They were also on Barshook Records.
Yes.
Which had Death Cab for Cutie, Dismemberment Plan, Bang Gibbard from Death Cab for Cutie, Mates of State, Rider, Kylie, They Might Be Giants. All bands that I like.
Very indie, hipstery label.
Yeah.
Early 2000s, all together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't stay on one label very long, these guys. I don't have the exact list, but I think they never put out more than one or two before they end up switching or self-releasing albums and that sort of stuff. So they move around a fair bit. Grant, had you
Popular,
heard of
but
Nada? Oh, you had heard Popular? Cool.
Certainly had heard Popular from memory. And nothing further to that. So
Yeah.
but what a nice name. No surf, Nada, no surf. I mean, it's like you're playing the man here. Lee. So for you, then, have you seen them live?
Yes, I have seen them live. They've been to
Really?
Brisbane twice, and I saw them both times, which has been really cool. Somewhere in my mind, I feel like I've seen them a third time while we were overseas at some stage.
Yeah, you saw them at Tivoli or something.
So back in 2003, they played the Zoo
Cool.
off the back of this album, which
Before
was really
the
cool.
aircon.
Sorry,
19
well
years
before
ago.
the aircon, so it would have been sweltering, like it would have been real nasty, real bad,
Clammy.
clammy. So yeah, but got a lot of this album on the tour, which was really cool because I loved this album. I was
That's
like,
cool.
that's awesome. And they played Popular second last, and they were like, we really don't want to play this, but I guess we kind of have to because they'd never played Brisbane before. Like literally, when that song came out, they'd never played it. So it's like they knew some people would like. So they played it. It's obviously a bit janky when you play it live because there's points where he's talking and he's singing in the song, and it sort of it gets a bit weird. And obviously they're sick of it, but they played it and it was cool. And then in 2012, so 9 years later, they came back and played the Spiegel tent.
Oh,
What was
really
that?
cool.
What was that?
So,
Where was that?
so the
that's part
Spiegel
of
tent
the
is like
festival.
so it's
Spiegel tent.
Spiegel tent. Yeah, so it's like a venue but it's like a mobile venue.
Yeah.
And it's got like, it depends how sometimes they can set it up with benched chairs and tables,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's just a big tent. And sometimes it's in King George Square. This time it was over at South Bank, but it's just because it's just a
really?
tent, they can put it in, botanical gardens. They can move
Sure.
around and do stuff. So
Spiegel, is that a brand of something, or
It's
is that
a German circus tent.
yeah, it's just
So if
called
you think
at
about
the Spiegel tent.
at the Spiegel tent?
It's got like multicolored spiral
Yeah.
like towers and
Just a
stuff
tent.
like that.
Mm. So that was off the back
it's a-
of an album called, which is one of my favorite album titles of all time, which is "The Stars Are Indifferent to Astronomy."
So why this one and not why Let's Go and not that one?
The album's not flawless. Yeah, so
okay.
Let Go is flawless. The Weight As a Gift is almost there. Lucky is almost there. By the time they get to that, it's less so. Like, it's still really cool stuff, but it's not up to that flawless level.
Mm-hmm.
But they toured off the back of that. But it's just the title that I love. It's like the idea of like there's these stars up here, and human beings on this one planet are putting lifetimes worth of work into trying to study them. Where are they? What are they doing? Are they there? How old are they? How much energy do they put out? And they're just like they're just there. They don't get affected by that at all. So the one bad thing about Spiegel tent, they didn't play Popular because I think they'd obviously like, well, we played it in Brisbane, you're done.
Yeah, we're not doing it again.
But they had, because of the way
Isn't that a pity though?
no, not for that song. I can see why they'd be over it. Like I was super glad they played it the first time because literally no one could have seen it.
Yeah.
But then it was like, no, we've played it in Brisbane before, we don't like that song anymore, so let's move on. But because of the way the Brisbane Festival works, you have a show and then you'll have another show in the Spiegel tent later on. Like, there'll be like an hour's break and then you'll play again. So they played their set and then they were like, oh, we'd really love to keep playing, but we can't. So they left, and then we left and we were down at a like cafe nearby or something, and I saw people tweeting they just wandered outside and kept playing acoustic unplugged stuff in the little space outside the tent because they just needed to be out, and everyone was just sitting around watching them play. But by the time I found out about it and we got back there, they'd stopped. Like, I think there's like 3 or 4 more. So it was very disappointing. Would have been awesome. But yeah, seen them a couple of times. Love them live. They're really cool. They, it's cool music. It's cool. It's fun music to watch live. They like people having a dance, having a good time. You're going to assume, obviously, neither of you seen them live, since you'd literally never heard of anything after.
No.
After Popular?
Popular.
No,
Cool.
no. Sorry, I hadn't, and they didn't even show up on any of the music festivals that I usually go
No.
to, with all of the epic lineups and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I don't remember. So, yeah, but
I feel like they don't get out of the US that often for touring stuff. So their lineup is Matthew Cause on lead vocals and guitar, Daniel Lorca on bass and backing vocals, and Ira Elliott on drums and backing vocals. So they've now got a...
When did Doug join?
So Doug, I think in the Wikipedia it said he was from like 2012 or something. Like it was,
okay.
it was quite advanced before they... So they've been a band 30 years, Matthew and Daniel at least.
Yeah.
Same 3 guys doing the thing the whole time. Putting an album out every 2 to 4 years. I think it's really remarkable that a band can just keep their lineup together. And once again, it's probably because they're not popular enough to have to tour all the time. So being in the band doesn't necessarily affect the other things that they're doing in their life as much as it could if they were bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's cool.
And from New York, was that right? I thought I read.
Ithaca,
New York, yeah.
Yeah, so
that's where all the cool kids are from.
Ex-Ambassadors too. Yeah, remember that. Yep.
That was a good episode.
It was a great episode. And that If I Had a Half-Hour, the album covers songs by Depeche Mode, one Kate Bush.
Yes.
Have you heard of that person?
So their 6th album was a
Spoon and the
covers album,
Go-Betweens.
and they covered a Kate Bush song.
Which one?
I don't remember. Grant's got the phone out. He's
I'd
looking
have
it
to
up
find
now.
that
Don't worry.
somewhere. Hang on.
So when you dropped this album in the group chat,
Yeah.
and I opened it up, bearing in mind I'd only ever heard of Popular. I
Love and
was-
Anger, forgive me.
Oh, very good. Bearing in mind, my experience of film was Popular, so I was like grungy, and I was like, okay, well, this is a few years later, but 8 years later, so I wonder how they've transitioned. And then I opened it up, and Blizzard of 77 came on, and I was like, this isn't Popular.
Yeah.
No.
It's definitely not.
This is cute, Americana, like acoustic
Americana,
guitar.
sure.
layered, high-pitched vocals into introspective, sweet lyrics, nice melody, and the drop from major to minor to transition the mood worked really well. But poor Ira doesn't get a look in.
No, he doesn't. Sorry, Ira. No drums. So, and there's barely any bass either. Like, it's mostly just, for this first song, is just Matthew and on his acoustic guitar. And the melody on the acoustic guitar is like it's 3 chords as well. Like, it's not a very complex melody either. It's just a really nice, sweet song.
It is. And he sings.
Now the signals still getting all mixed up. We're always doing damage control.
Which I thought was, when I was thinking about introspective stuff about relationship, like, because it's a blizzard, I was thinking about them being stuck inside and immersed in each other's company and like pussyfooting around each other, like eggshells and stuff.
Because he talks about the cars just lumps under snow. So it's like that idea of like, there is a blizzard. He's stuck inside, but he's looking out. And then, everything is just snow and there's just snow everywhere with the cars just being in these big lumps.
Well, it would have been the blizzard of like 2001 because he wasn't going to be doing a blizzard of 77.
No, well, he said apparently there was a huge blizzard in Buffalo in 78. Which was like famously, people trapped inside and damaged and that sort of thing. But he said apparently there's a Blizzard of 77 board game. So that's where he got the title from. So he was thinking about blizzards and stuff. And then there was a board game called Blizzard of 77. And he thought that sounded like nice rolling off the tongue. Then
it's great opening.
So people keep thinking, they think he got it wrong. And they think, do you mean the Blizzard of 78 that was in Buffalo? And he's like, no. It's just a blizzard, and then 77 sounds really cool rolling off the tongue. But he'll do this again. It's like he sounds like he's talking about like literal things and things that he can see and things that are in his head. And then he gets to the end of the song and he goes, "I miss you more than I knew." So he folds that really sad, really melancholic lyric, but he holds on to it till right at the end. So it sort of brings. So you got to listen to it and then come back again and listen to it again to go, so that's what he's actually like. It's that lost feeling of like, I wanted you more and I miss you more than I thought I would when I let you go. And that's what the whole song is fed through that. But you only know that once you've heard it for the first time, and you've got to come back and get it again for the full effect.
Oh.
So yeah.
You look a bit emotional.
I love Blizzard of 77 is one of those songs where like, if I could learn to play an acoustic guitar, that's one of the songs that I'd like to learn to play because it is only like 3 or 4 chords. I don't know how complex the chords are, but I would love to be able to play that.
Do you want me to learn it and teach you?
I want you to learn it, but you don't have to teach me. That's fine. If you wanted to learn it, that would be awesome, but I don't need to be able to play it.
I know. I want to look what those chords are right now on Ultimate Guitar app.
So and we go, like I said, we go straight from like this really soft acoustic number, really gentle, straight into The Way You Wear Your Head, which is just this like beautiful pop rock song to kick out from Blizzard. I think one of the things that, and once again this carries through the whole album, is Ira Elliott's drum work is really good, like understated. It's never showy and it's never big and huge. Like, look at me, I'm this awesome, super fast paced drummer, but he does really awesome work, and I think he does it really amazing here.
Because it does come in with full band, but it's still cute. And the opening lyrics are very cute.
Don't push me 'cause I'll fall in love with whatever you just said. Don't push me 'cause I'll fall in love with the way you wear your hair.
And I'm like, oh, I've been in that situation where I'm like talking to somebody and I'm just like, whatever you say right now, I'm falling in love, and no, you have no choice in the matter.
It feels like from a dude, it's like it's to like an indie chick, like who's got like really indie chick haircut, and she's saying really cool things, and he's just there and he's having a conversation at a party, and he's just besotted with her, and like whatever she says next, he's just gonna be like, yeah, I 100% agree, I'm in love with you right away.
Manic pixie dream girl situation.
100%, yeah, totally.
Double tick, bud. The way we
I've got a little heart on that one.
Had to.
The drums ramp up a bit for the outro.
Yeah.
And then there's feedback.
So there's a few songs that change tempos mid-song throughout the entire album. Once again, that's that drum work of just keeping that balance and really awesome drum work all the way through, which is really cool.
So,
And then into Fruit Fly, which
Yeah.
has which combines the best of both worlds. So it's like you've heard our soft one, you've heard our higher paced pop rock song. Now we're going to have one that starts really soft, and once again, it's just a song. It's just him telling a story of a thing that happened to him. So like I found an interview where he talked about all the songs on the album, and this is just literally something that happened to him. Is he left a plate of food or a thing of food on the table, went away, came back, there were flies there. Like, oh, that's a mess. Took it away, and the flies were still there. And he was like, holy crap. And he like instantly ran away from the table and wrote the song Fruit Flies. Like, oh my God, I've been inspired. And so it sounds literal. And so it's like, it picks up again. So it goes really soft, and then it's like the crunching guitars and that sort of stuff come in. But then he does that same thing again where he ties it into like, oh, it sounds like it's just a stupid song about something that he saw. But then he actually says that he really loves Fruit Flies because they fly in these really janky rhythms. They just fly anywhere, and they never really know where they're going, and they don't really understand where they're going or what they're doing. But just something grabs them in the moment that they don't understand, and they change direction, and they move this way and they move that way.
my old colleague was doing a PhD on like with genetics and stuff like that, and they used to have to do tests on fruit flies. But because he was like first year PhD, his job was to take the huge box of fruit flies and individually sex them and put them into separate like male and female boxes so that they could run their experiments on male fruit flies versus female fruit flies. And he got partway through his PhD and went, life's too short.
Yeah, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
anymore.
well, look,
His PhD, and that when I saw Fruit Fly on this album, the first thing I thought of was my mate Robin and him quitting his PhD.
Nice.
But
I've been hearing about it for 30 seconds, and I already think life's too short too.
Absolutely, but there's a nice little synthy line in here, and then a kind of guitar riff outro.
Yeah.
But there's percussion that's not drums. It sounds like a cabasa or something, like
Nice.
a little
Yeah.
noise. So that was nice to bring something extra in. And then
he's got a really high falsetto voice too.
I literally was about to say,
Yeah.
the high bits with the oohs and the woes
Yeah.
or whatever. Like he goes like because again, I'm used to popular, but this entire album's in his upper register, so it was like basically. I feel like they should have changed their name.
Right.
Like,
they're so different. They should be
so
different.
different. It should be
It's just-
rebranded.
Yeah.
After popular, and if they didn't want to actually be that, they should have just called themselves Minor Alps and then
Right.
come out, and
Yeah.
people will go, I know exactly what you're supposed to sound like. Yeah, because it's so different.
So yeah, it sounds like he's doing woos and ohs, but he's actually singing "What can you do but go on?"
Oh,
But the
okay.
go and the on are so high that they become almost unintelligible.
And
And there's a really cool lyric at the end where he goes, and he folds it back into like the human behavior is like,
Oh no, you make your own mistakes. I cannot bring them back to you. Oh no, you make your own mistakes. I cannot measure up to you.
lyric buddies.
nice. Yeah, so it's really cool. So yeah, those three songs I think are just such a perfect opener to an album. It's like, here's our soft one, which is really beautiful and heartfelt. Here's our pop rock song, and here's a song that proves that we can actually do quiet and big bombastic stuff in the same song. So it's an amazing opening.
And he has Inside of Love. Well, they have Inside of Love, which is like a total 2000s indie pop song. Like repeated, simple melody, like repetitive, but back to being introspective. With
I wanna know what it's like on the inside of love. I'm standing at the gates. I see the beauty above.
and I was like,
Yeah, nice.
really romantic. So yeah, that's really sweet.
Go, Grant.
But like this came out in 2002, and I feel like there's a Coldplay song
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
You're going to go there?
I've written it down.
Yeah, right.
What song is it?
Yellow. Absolutely.
Okay.
That riff.
Right.
Massively.
There's like, yeah.
The whole thing.
The whole thing was the Coldplay song, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Like
that come out
Coldplay,
first?
Yellow. I don't know which one came out first. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But thank you.
Well,
That's what I was going to
It matters if we think we're accusing somebody of stealing.
No,
an
it's
entire-
a
an
similarity.
entire
I mean,
melody.
it's the
But it's the way the way the whole rhythm works.
and that guitar.
and the guitar
chord
works.
through.
Yeah, definitely. Like I actually wrote like
Well done.
I feel like Coldplay ripped this off.
Or the other way.
Well, I'm sure. Not.
I thought that Coldplay. This is out in 2000. Coldplay was certainly 2000.
2003. This album, 2002. This album came out. So yeah, I haven't written down any Inside of Love lyrics because it's one of my favorite songs. So
Yeah.
I literally pretty much know it back to back. But so yeah, so that's the same thing where he's just like, I just go out, I make out with people I hardly know or like. I can't, I just do whatever. It's just he's like doing that party lifestyle, and it's the whole, and it's this whole like, it's this
2000.
outpouring of like, I want to be in love and I'm not in love and I don't understand what's on the inside of love and I've never understood love, and it's, oh my god, it's this really huge angsty moment. And then the last line of the song is, it's okay, I just had one bad night. So we've all had that night where we've gone out and gone, oh fuck, everything's fucked, I hate this. You hate your friends, you hate your crushes, the crush doesn't respond, whatever, everyone, and then you get home like, fuck, the world's never gonna be the same, I'm gonna, and for him, he's like, I'm gonna write this whole angsty song, and then you wake up the next morning and you go, okay, that was a bad night, I had a bad night, but everything's not really as bad as I thought it was. But I love that on this one, it's like this huge outpouring of like, I want to be in love, I want to understand what it is, I want to know what love is, sort of thing. And then in the last is like, no, it's okay, I just had one bad night, I'm okay.
Unlike Weezer, which would end it with "and life sucks."
Yeah, so it was so cool. Did you have dates for us, Grant? Did he rip off Yellow?
Looking, they might have.
Okay,
Because this came out, you say 2003, but Yellow was out. 26th of June 2000.
there we go. Might have been an
26th,
influence.
26th of July 2000.
There we go.
2000.
Oh my god, I can't believe we both wrote down. Coldplay.
Yeah, that's all I wrote. And I like both the tracks.
I
don't get
love
me wrong.
Yellow, but I had not heard that connection at all.
Well,
I don't
I
know.
thought it was the other one, the one where he's going backwards in the music video.
The
The
scientist.
Scientist.
Yeah, I thought it was the
Might have
scientist.
been that one. I thought it was Yellow.
Anyway,
Anyway, it was, we've got the band. At least we can agree on the band.
I've got a little,
Some similarities.
I've got a little heart next to Killian's Red.
Oh, nice one, hey?
Pretty guitar riff intro.
Yeah.
And then I would like to emphasize this very sexy bass line.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really
Underlined?
It's really
Italics.
important to me. It's all in italics, so my handwriting's atrocious. But it's very important to me that I can hear a good bass line, like in a
Yeah,
track.
you said that before.
Well, it's
For
because
sure.
I'm a bassist. But yes, it's ominous and sultry, but romantic, and there's that element of being hopeful they'll run away together. And it's so there is like big lifts and guitar riffs, and he sings.
You woke me from a long sleep, and I'm almost back.
And I liked that.
Nice.
With full band outro. So,
So
yeah,
yeah,
I really like
longest
that
song
one.
on the album has a slow build, like that melody just played over and over, whereas most of their songs they kind of get into it pretty quickly, whereas this one's the melody loops a fair bit. Once again, literally a song about a thing that happened to him where he'd made friends with a person and like he was feeling like a really good connection and they both were, but they were already seeing someone. So in order for them to get together, they were going to have to break up with the person they were already seeing. And he was tortured because he really wanted to be with this person, but he also didn't want to be the reason that some other relationship ended, like a no-fault ending relationship. So that's the thing is like where he talks about, I left you a note, come out, we'll both get wasted. Is like he doesn't know how to deal with whether he wants to be with her or not with her or can be friends. So he's just like, and I'm assuming it's a her, but it might not be. But it's just like, let's just get wasted. Like, we'll like, I don't want to have to think about it. And if the way I don't have to think about it is to get wasted, let's get wasted. And the person I like getting wasted most with is you. So you should come out and do it with me.
Aw.
So yeah, it's kind of a bit of a heartbreaking one.
When you're describing some of these, don't don't you feel like Liam has been out with Matthew and they've had a few drinks
Yeah.
and heart to heart, and now you're relaying?
DNMs,
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
If that was the case, I would definitely not be saying what there's about, because that would be revealing things that he hasn't revealed already. But everything that I'm saying comes from an interview that he gave. So
Okay.
I'm like, definitely no insider secrets here. This is definitely stuff that he's said and is available on the internet and online. But with that one, he was a little bit cagey about the whole thing. He didn't want to sort of say too much. So it was kind of,
Sure.
I feel like, remember when we had Spencer on the podcast and he was talking about how an album reminded him of a previous crush, but he didn't want to talk about it too much because obviously he was with someone else now.
Yeah.
I got the feeling that was this vibe
Same
with this
thing.
song. Is like, it's this, all this stuff happened and I wanted to be with this person and they were with other people. And it's obvious like since then it's been a whole other thing. And now he doesn't really want to talk about the individuals involved in case it sort of throws a bit of a spanner in the works.
It's
But
fine. Leave a little bit of mystery.
yeah,
Yeah.
George, how much of La Porcha did you know?
La Porsa.
La Porcha. See, there you go.
Yeah,
I
that
couldn't-
was, that's what I was going to
I
say.
couldn't even pronounce it correctly. So that's,
I'm with you,
you're,
Liam.
you're way ahead of me there.
So, firstly, I had to do Google Translate.
Right. So did I. I was wondering if you knew it.
So, no, but it was all about predatory men and enticing her, declaring men are bastards, but maybe not all,
Yeah.
implying himself, like, yes, men are bastards, but I'm not a bastard. So, yeah, so
I'm the
that's
exception to the rule.
the premise. So, lo-fi, bass, and guitar on that one.
Yeah. So Matthew, I was going to do in his introduction, his parents were both university professors and they took sabbaticals in France, in Paris and in the Vaucluse in Provence. His mother was a distinguished professor of comparative literature, English and French at the Graduate Center of CUNY. And his father was a university professor of philosophy at George Washington University. So that's a long way of saying he's a very intellectual person and knows French.
In the blood.
But he rebelled by joining a rock band.
He
Yeah.
rebelled by joining a rock band, and he didn't write this song because he doesn't like French. It's too hard. He finds French very hard. He found it very hard to learn and didn't actually stay with it. But his bandmate, the bass player, Daniel Lorca, speaks complete French. So Daniel wrote this song fluent. Sorry, that's much better word. Fluent French. Complete French.
Complete
Come
French.
on, Liam.
All of the
That's good.
French.
Let's
All
go
of the
fluent.
French.
I'm very sore and tired.
Why are you so tired? Do you want to share with the podcast?
No, it's not. It's
Okay.
just stuff.
Brisbane
Stuff.
Marathon.
Yeah, I was in the Brisbane
Yeah,
Marathon
he's run the
3
marathon.
hours ago.
Jeez, man. Such is your commitment.
Yeah. So, the bandmate Daniel Lorca wrote, and apparently, and I don't remember if I've ever seen them play it, but according to the write-up, when they play it live, Daniel sings it.
Oh, cool.
So Matthew plays the guitar part because it's just a guitar and a vocal. I think it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, Daniel sings it when they play it live, and he wrote it. He wrote most of it, which is really awesome.
That's fun. And it leads into Happy Kid.
Oh,
Yeah,
Double
just a
tick.
happy kid.
has to be a double tick.
That's
Yeah.
a posy number.
What a
isn't
cool track.
it? So, rocky guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bit of a drum roll in there.
yeah.
Like it, and it sounds posy as anything. So, lyrics that stood out to me as desperately relatable.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about this in the car on the way over. You mentioned some punk stuff, and I was like, "There's a song coming up that we can talk
Yeah.
about."
Yeah,
Like
so
this.
that's true. Yeah, so when he sings, "I'm just a happy kid stuck with the heart of a sad punk."
Yes, lyric buddies.
Yeah, right. And I
Such
was
a
there
cool-
just
that's
like,
a cool line.
that's so me.
Yeah.
Like I was mistaken for a homeless teenager on our way to the podcast today.
Yeah.
And then but I'm covered in tattoos. and
Can you tell the listeners what happened or how that occurred?
I was hunched over waiting for Liam to pick me up. I was in like the doorway of a bank that was closed and in
cold.
the city centre, and I'm wearing a hoodie and a Ramones t-shirt and hunched over with headphones on, and an older gentleman around 80 years old walked up and looked down at me and said, "Are you all right?" And I looked up and I was like, "Pardon?" And I moved my headphones and he went, "Are you all right?" And I looked down and he was holding a $5 note out at me.
Did you take it?
No, I didn't take it. I said, "I'm fine, but thank you."
I would have taken it.
Well,
But anyway, okay.
but no, so he like I was just hunched over because I've
a
been
great
sick for the
story.
week, so I was like hunched over in a hoodie. But I've got a full face of makeup,
Yeah.
and I've got my hair done,
Yeah.
and I'm like, this.
You were quite outraged that he thought this when you just got your hair done.
Yeah, no, just spent
You just paid money for your hair to get fixed. And
$300
this is
I'm like, I've got more in my bank account than he does. But yeah, so I was mistaken for a homeless teenager, and then I found out that I've become a football or soccer tragic for my partner's football team, and now I'm planning strategies, and yet he still doesn't like punk. So I'm like, and then I said to Liam, like, I just feel like I'm losing my punk ways, and he went, well, you're punk-ish. He had to add the ish.
I had to add the ish.
well, I think
You're not in a
it's-
band.
I've been in bands.
Yeah.
I've been in punk bands
This
since
is
I was
hard. This
13.
is, and this
this
is
is
how
where
we
things
wrapped
get,
up flawless.
Yeah.
The
Like,
three of us.
Thank you for coming to the final episode.
Yeah,
of
and
Flawless.
that was where it was the final episode.
Punk-ish.
Oh, I think it was an appropriate assessment, Liam.
I think so.
But
anyway,
enough
Matthew
of that.
Cause,
Matthew
a
Cause.
punk's trapped in a happy kid
Happy
trapped in
kid.
the body of a sad punk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the song, and there's like other bits in this album too, is about he's got both parts of him in that he can see and feel. So he's the punk. He's got the punk kid. He's angry and he's rebelling against the world and he hates certain things. But also part of him's like, you're a white guy. You're in a band full time. You don't actually have that much to be angry about. Like you're living a
Yeah.
pretty great life compared to a lot of other people.
Sure.
So it's not, which is not to say you can't be a punk, but it's like he feels those two dichotomies of like, I'm angry about things, but also some of the things I'm angry about affect me way less than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And like, should I be a punk if it's like affecting other people more than me? And like, so yeah. So he sees
Getting himself all confused.
Yes. So
What do you
and
do?
then, and he's seeing like
you can be a punk like Idols and be
Yes.
a bunch of white guys singing really positive
They're
messages.
coming soon, aren't they?
November.
November soonish.
I didn't get the ticket. You got tickets.
I got tickets.
You guys both got tickets.
I've got a spare ticket.
So he
Let's talk
sings.
about the date. Yep.
No matter who I hang out with, I can hear the clack clunk of the chains that pull the cars up the roller coaster, mountain top so high.
And even as you're lifting, and so this is the alternative version, is like even as you're going up and you're being transported up into this awesome thing, he can hear the clack clunk of the machinery and he knows what's actually raising you up. And it's like, I feel like he's not sure, like he knows what's happening and what could go wrong and that sort of thing, which is
Is it like learning how the sausage is made?
yes, which I think is a similar thing to how I feel
Hooves.
about things that make me
Snuff.
nervous.
Tail.
Is like, so I'm a nervous flyer.
Are you?
I don't like flying at all. I'm a super nervous
Interesting.
flyer. And the reason I'm a super nervous flyer, and it's not that other people don't know, it's just that I'm really aware of all the things that could happen in any given moment that would cause like a complete disaster. Like you know,
death.
this one little screw on the outside of a plane comes out and the
Tickets.
plane crashes.
Yeah.
This little bolt here moves 30 degrees to the side
Done.
and we're done. Like and I don't even know what those things are, and it may not even be true.
It's
It may like
definitely not true. My
right,
partner's
exactly.
a pilot.
Yeah.
My partner's
So-
has managed to land a plane with half a fuel tank.
Yeah, but it feels to me like it's like we're all in this we're all in this tube of
Big
compressed
metal
air up there
Box.
that
Metal bird.
millions of people do every single day completely
My
fine.
wife's a flight attendant.
Yeah, exactly. But bad things can happen, and therefore things must unexpectedly happen. And what happens, and so that's why. So I feel like that's a similar feeling to his. Like he knows this. It's almost like he knows too much about how things work.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's not even knowing how they work. It's like I'm probably making it up in my head.
You are.
But yeah, exactly. But
totally.
that my brain has just like decided that's the case, and I can't.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna have to send Liam on a degree course in like aeronautic. Like,
that-
ML sorts you out
ML
one
sort
time.
me out,
mate.
yeah.
She flipping she gets nervous flies all the time.
Yeah,
Um,
I've
That's
got a
fair.
method that I use now to make myself less nervous.
alcohol.
No,
Oh, sorry.
I don't.
yeah,
drink.
he doesn't
I know
drink.
that, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, you can make an exception for flying. I mean,
like international waters.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You know,
On the Happy Kid,
Mm-hmm.
there's nice effects on the guitars, and I think, and it's not used enough. I think they use the whammy bar to
Okay.
make that nice
whammy bar.
Yeah.
sound.
Nice.
As they're strumming, and there's a soft reprieve, and then a lift, and then a drop, and then a soft outro.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, starts all big and rocky, and
But yeah,
ends on a
it
soft
kind of
outro.
kicks off 3. So there's 2
3
soft ones
sets
in
of
the
double
mid.
ticks is what it does.
Nice.
You know
There are 2 soft ones, so it's Killian's Red and Lapor Sour, and then 3 big ones, and they're not all big bombastic ones. Like the last one is a bit of a
Paper
mix.
boat, yeah.
But like it kicks off that downhill run to finish, which is really cool.
So in No Quick Fix, that's a surf rock guitar.
Yeah.
That's what they're kicking off with. Nice melodies, and they intertwine and intermingle nicely. Harmonies, which I'm always a fan of. Again, he's way up there in his upper register, and he sings, "Come on now, you gotta try it out. You're killing time. You're killing mine." Which I thought was an interesting, nice way of saying, "Come on, it's not just you affected here."
Yeah. But yeah, he likes, that's one of his going out partying songs as well.
Oh,
So
cool.
he's like, so he goes,
I can't stay home at night. I'm trying out loud. I'm off to live life. Do I speak or hold you tight? The words were voted out by landslide.
so he's just like, it's that thing where it's like you can't connect to someone, and he just says like, "Should I talk to you?" It's like, no, if I talk to you, the words won't be right, or it's not going to work. So let's just not talk, and we'll just do other things. It's
Can
really
we
cool.
can we go to some hand claps, please?
Yeah.
In High Speed Soul.
Yeah.
That's a rocky intro again. Hand claps and
double
synth.
tick for
Another double
High
tick.
Speed Soul as well.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very nice.
Vocal
Very nice.
melodies. So he's got a little trick on this one, during the verse, where he extends the vowels in the end word, in every line. So blah 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 blah. Which it was nice, but it was driving and fun. So the lyrics I found interesting because it was essentially an entire song about having an existential crisis, including lyrics.
Ever feel like what we call real life is not so real?
Which is literally the most
Yeah.
existential thing you can possibly say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but another reason I love this one, there is a bass solo,
Ah, nice.
and then so there's a bass solo that's really loud, and then it dropped in the mix so a guitar riff can come over, which is then dropped in the mix so the piano can come in. So it's just like building it up like Russian dolls. And then the outro is the same as riff as the intro, on the guitar, but in a different key.
Nice.
So that was
Things I do not know. I cannot tell.
that's fine. Yeah. Well, basically, listen to the end of the song and then
Yeah.
go to the beginning of the song and go, "Oh, there you go."
Yeah.
It's the same riff, but
Yeah.
they're different notes. So I thought that was a nice bookending of that song. So that didn't have lots of lifts and drops. It seemed a bit more driving for the whole one, like the punkier, rockier one.
Just going to jump to Paper Boats, the big epic number to finish.
Yeah.
Because he said something about it that I really love in terms of flawless.
Yes.
He said, it's funny with the last ones, right? I described it to somebody once that all the theories that were about sequencing, your first is a bit of a calling card. If you have a hit, you put it third. The weird one you really love is number 7. The weakest track is going to be number 8. And the one you don't know what to do with is number 9. And then the one you hope has enough magic in it to make someone want to repeat the whole record again is the last one. And also, I tend to think of the last one as being a bit of a slower downbeat song is okay, but I bet there's a totally valid philosophy that you should go out on a rocker. Also, I feel like it's the end of the night, you know? The last song has to put you to bed. It has to function 2 ways. It has to make you want to start the record over or peacefully go to sleep. So, I don't know. That seemed like the right one. So, we've talked about
How much thought?
end songs in albums. And, you know, we've said no because we wanted it, depends on the band, we want it to be a big one.
Yeah.
Yep.
And sometimes it's like, oh no, I love this because it's a nice quiet one and it leads perfectly to loop back around. And then he was just like, apropos of nothing, he just summarized that entire thing for us in this interview, which was really cool.
So he just did it
Succinctly.
for us.
Yeah. So
we
What
can
he
just-
said,
So
what
we
Matt
can
said.
we can quote him
Yeah.
in every episode when we
Yeah.
talk about final
Yeah.
songs.
Yes.
And why it
Yeah.
is or not.
Yeah, why it is or isn't, and we are left to choose.
But
Up to you.
so it's about being like, paper boats, being rushed along by the water with no control over where you're going.
Yep.
He talked about
All I am is a body floating down.
downwind. Nice. Yeah. So he said there's the New York subway system, and there are certain points where two train lines will run alongside each other, completely different, separate to one another. And there'll be a point where those trains are at exactly the same height. And so you can see that other train, and you can look across to a train full of other people who aren't looking at you, and you normally wouldn't be looking at them. Like, you're just completely disassociated from them. But then at some point, if you time it just right, their train rises slightly. And so if you're looking at them when they do that, they just ethereally, these people just start rising up into the air. And they've got doesn't, they're not doing anything to make that happen. They're thinking about their phones or their music or whatever, or they're reading
the
something.
paper.
But just suddenly these people just like slowly start float, and he was just like, his mind was like, these people just float up into the sky. so yeah, he was just like, this idea of like paper boats in water and just being rushed along to a destination that you have no control over.
Nice.
But it starts soft and then picks up into a sort of a bit of a crescendo, but then cuts back out again. So he tries to have it both ways, with like a softer one and a bigger one at the end, which is really cool.
Well, it's the longest one on the album. There you go.
Cool. Anything else that anyone wants to talk to before I do my final pitch?
I think it's final pitch time, dude.
Final pitch, Liam.
Awesome. So they're not virtuosos at, like I've talked about the drum work, but we haven't talked about like amazing guitar work or amazing skills with bass. Like the basses are there, but they're not virtuosos at any three parts of it. And we've talked about his voice being really good, but once again, it's not like, oh my God, this guy's got the best voice in the world. But they're just masters at crafting these perfect little poppy songs. There's a breeziness to the song construction, and Cause always speaks honestly and openly, and so many of the songs are things that just happened to him in his life. So the first part will be describing the thing that happened, and then the second part will be his reflections on the thing that happened, which is really cool. And he's always balancing it between these things that make me sad. These are things that make me sad, or versus I should just be happy because there's so much joy in other life. So he feels like another musician who sees a lot of the problems around the world, but is never going to be so bold as to suggest, and I'm the guy with the answers. I'm the one who's like, here's the answer to all those problems. The music is delicate, warm, inviting and loving, but also melancholy without ever being dreary or morose. Let Go makes thoughtful pop rock look easy, and that's what makes it flawless.
Oh.
So
Very cool.
We'll go to Grant.
Hey.
Final thoughts and a thumbs up or a thumbs down for Nada Surf's Let Go.
Nada Surf's Let Go. There was so much to like in this. Like literally there are ticks and double ticks all over the shop, from Blizzard through to Paper Boat. My only challenge in it was the one that you liked, Fruit Fly. Why?
Oh, no.
If you could have... and I was
That's
like,
my favourite song. That's my favourite song on the album.
Like, why are we talking? And I think if it was more like all of the President's album that we said yes, because it was so like these random events. I thought the other ones were talking, the way you wear your head and blonde, love. There's love and quick fixes and happy kids. But why Fruit Fly? And if the Fruit Fly wasn't on that and you just went from the way you wear your head, I think, to blonde, I would have said yes. And
Right.
I will listen to this. Because there are lots of, I think your description about it not being too melancholy or morose, there's some really nice tracks in here that's like, wow, this is a cool album. But for Fruit Fly. So thank you very much.
That's okay.
But not Fruit Fly.
Not Fruit Fly.
No. George.
The imagery. The imagery.
Yeah. And it, look, I mean, I just didn't think it fitted. That was like
Okay.
an ordering thing. That's all.
All good. No, that's okay.
Thank you for bringing it.
A reason is a reason. We are not here to challenge those reasons. As much as we do all the time.
Yeah. And hold it against each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Forever.
George, final thoughts and a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Okay, so when I first started listening, I think I dropped in the group chat.
Yeah.
This isn't
popular.
And then I followed it up with, but this is pretty.
Yes.
So it was just like, that was a fair call, right? As an album, it's
Correct.
a very pretty album. So if it was called anything other than Nada Surf, you could have made that playlist and named it Diffused, and I'd have been like, okay, listening to that album, it would be like with like completely empty ears. So I came at it with the mindset of just going, they changed, they grew, that's fine. And yeah, so I have done little hearts against multiple songs on here because I've really enjoyed some of the slow numbers with like just the acoustic and stuff. I thought that was really sweet. Thought it was quite bold actually to open with Blizzard, because normally you wouldn't open with like a solo song. You'd open with the band and then you'd slip the solo song in at track 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was an interesting way of like ramping you up into the album, but it worked really well on how it transitioned into The Way You Wear Your Head, the Manic Pixie song. So yeah, and yeah, so I especially did like the rocky ones, and I really like the concept of Killian's Red. But there was a few songs that I skipped because I got to the point where I was like, 52 minutes of this is probably a bit much. Like for me, I'm usually aimed at the 40-minute mark for this sort of music, but I really didn't enjoy Blonde on Blonde, which we didn't talk to. So I found myself going from Fruit Fly and skipping to Inside of Love, and then we did talk about La Posa, but I didn't really enjoy that because it felt out of place just having a random French song.
Right.
I was just like, what are you doing? You've never, like you've not implied Frenchness in anything else.
Anything else
because it was just one of their songs but with French lyrics, and I was like, it just disturbed me a little bit. I was just like, that's not what you sound like, because I've been listening to the album so much.
Yeah.
So I was going to end it on Happy Kid, because the pattern of lift and drop and lift and drop and lift and drop happening so much in a song, I struggled with, because it would lift and I'm like, I'm ready for you, and then it would drop and I'm like, oh,
no.
And then it would lift again and I'm like, no, you caught me out the first time.
So fool me twice.
Yeah. So and they have that as a theme, which I think definitely works for some people, but it didn't work for me. But some great ones like Killian's Red, Blizzard, and The Way You Wear Your Head especially.
Yeah.
I really fucking love those songs, so I'm gonna hold on to those and keep those forever.
So you would have taken out Blonde on Blonde,
Yeah.
and then dropped La Posa.
I think by the time George was finished, it would have been an EP.
And then the last two as well. I liked it. Anyway, okay, interesting.
There you go.
Thank
So
you.
Okay,
that's
thank you,
my
George.
rearrangement of the album. But yes, but it was cool because I had no idea that they even continued as a band.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Well, if you like some of that stuff, you should check out all their other albums because they're all very consistently good in that similar
that's
vein.
good. So thank you, Liam.
All good.
Thank you, Liam.
And we want to thank everyone for listening. We have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and we are Flawless AMP on all of those, so you can join the conversation, share or like our posts, and give us a rating. Every little bit helps us find more music lovers like you. As mentioned, we also have a Patreon at patreon.com/flawlessamp. If you'd like to back us, please check that out. And a final thank you as well to Diffuse Studios, who we are recording in today. Jai, a previous guest on Flawless, was able to set us up in his studio. So thank you very much, Jai and Diffuse Studio. Check them out online if you can. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you next time.